the demand for architects far exceeds the supply. And this is even before the industrialization of software, which we know is around the corner. The demand far exceeds the supply. And if you are a good, qualified, competent architect, and let me tell you something, after this class, you will be the one in a million. You're going to have so much knowledge, such an advantage compared to everybody else. Of course, they're going to want you. Now, how many of you have done interviews as the interviewer? You're interviewing somebody else. And even though the interview is going to last 2 hours, 2 minutes into the interview, you already made up your mind. Has that ever happened to you, or does it happen every time? Now, if you know what you're doing, you're going to spend the rest of the interview trying to disprove your initial impression, but that's hardly ever happening, okay? So what would happen after this class is that 2 minutes into the interview, they already know you're the right person for the job. Therefore, the entire meeting is not about whether you're the right person for the job. The entire meeting is, are they the right opportunity for you? You are interviewing them. That is the architect's interview. The entire interview, you're interviewing them. You are grilling them. You're asking the tough questions. What does it mean to ask the right questions? You initially need to come with a clipboard with pages of questions. You organize the questions by categories. First category is a career. Nothing is forever. Suppose I work here for 2 years. What would I have learned after 2 years here? In what ways will I be a better architect having worked here for 2 years? If they're telling you, I don't think you're going to be any better, do you really want that opportunity? How many conferences / masterclasses will I go to a year? Now let's think about asking this question. This form of asking the question is called talking past the sale. We've already established I'm going to conferences and masterclasses, plural. We already established that. We already established it. I'm talking past the sale. I already sold you on the idea. Now we're discussing, is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? Now, if they say, oh, we don't send anybody for classes, is this the right opportunity for you? Now, if they're clever, here's what they're going to say. Interesting question. How many of these do you think you should go to? You need to have an answer. Everything you throw back at you, you have an answer. And you say, I think it's more like 5. Really? Why? Because it's my job to be better. It's my job to improve. I need to go to one industry-wide conference on the here and now. I need to go and see some vendor pitch on what they're going to do 5-10 years from now. I need to go to another masterclass to get my next fix of sanity. I need to go in clinic to be better at what I studied last time. That's already 5. Of course. We discussed yesterday, it's not some kind of round robin and somebody else trained. No, it's your job to get trained. Who owns the career development of architects here? Oh, we don't, we never even thought about it. We just plug them here and that's it. No, I do this job. What am I doing next? What am I doing after that? What am I doing after that? What is going on? A great turnaround is if you say, well, we never thought about it. Then you say, if I take this job, I'd like this to be on me. I'd like to be the one that owns the career development of architects here. Nobody's going to say no. And think about what kind of options that gives you. Okay, so what is the career path in general of architects? So after they do a project, do they go to do another project and more of the same forever? Or is it this and that? What is the reporting or even relationship I have with top technical people in the company? You have to understand that an architect is a staff officer. What does it mean? You're no longer part of the hoi polloi, the rank and file. Literally, you need to be now in direct relationship with the top management of the organization, the top technical management, the CTO, the CIO, the VP engineering, whatever it is. So maybe they say, oh, you never talk to them. That's not a good idea. But if they say, no, we have this chief architect and you work with, okay, how often do you meet with them? What's the relationship? What's the expectation? If there's conflict, who resolves it? You have to discover these things, okay? A good relationship is, yes, we expect the CTO or the CIO to work with architects. Okay, that's good. That's good. What is the architect doing right now? Now, you are basically interviewing to replace an architect. So what did you like about what the architect did so far? And what would you like to improve if you didn't like? And if there is no architect, you will say, how come we didn't have an architect so far? Bad answers would be, oh, for compliance reason with the latest regulation, we have to have an architect. Okay, they're basically going to stuff you in a cage and you won't be doing anything. Not a good idea. A good answer is, we hit such level of pain, we realize we can't just keep rolling mud up the hill. Okay, that's a good answer. If there is an architect, you ask them, why are you replacing the architect? Now, if they say the architects had to relocate to another city and such, and we had to replace, okay, that's fine. But if they say the architect couldn't take it anymore here and just left, that's not a good answer, right? So you need to start grilling. Why did the architect leave? Okay, let me tell you something. The reason that made the previous architect leave are the reason it would make you leave the place as well. Okay, so you need to find out. So you say, I'd like to schedule an interview with the predecessor, or I'd like to schedule an interview with the current architect. And eye to eye, you know, comrade to comrade, tell me what's going on. They're gonna tell you what's going on. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I'm gonna tell you what's going on, right? It's a colleague of yours. Don't make any decision before you talk to the previous one. What are the metrics of success or failure in the job? Because you see, being an architect is lots of hand-wavy motherhood and apple pie. Okay, motherhood and apple pie doesn't get anybody a promotion or a bonus. How do you measure success? And most likely they're going to say, we don't know. Or they may say, what do you think, right? And you say, I define success as meeting the commitments. Whatever the commitments are, if I meet them, that's success. When they say, how do you know? Well, we have to do project design and all of these things, okay? Question about the company. If there's one pain point you would fix, if there's one thing you would fix about the company and only one, which one would it be? Now, if they all agree, oh, it's this and that, okay, why did they start arguing? No, it's this, it's that. That also tells you something, right? If they have to think about it, I don't know anything, pain? No, I don't know. What does that tell you? What is the vision? You see, people need to be inspired. People need to have a vision. Just being a leaf in a hurricane blowing this way and that way is not a good idea. Even if you're a highly paid leaf in a hurricane, there need to be a vision. We want to be this. We want to be the leading provider of this and that. Okay, that's a nice vision. The project that I'm leading now is a very simple vision. We're going to own the energy of the world. Okay, that's a nice vision. It's immaterial if it's unachievable. The fact that you have to have a vision forces you to craft a strategy of achieving this vision. Now, many cases you see companies that have no vision. Oh, we just come here 9 to 5 and we have no vision. Anytime you see that, you will have mediocrity galore and you're going to have people who are completely callous and disregard to quality. Not a good situation. Okay, so you have a vision. What are the strategies to get there? We're going to go from here to here to there to that. What does it mean? You have a vision, but you never crafted a strategy of how to get there? It's not really a vision at all. Okay? What is the technology roadmap? Now, you don't actually care about the details in the roadmap. You want to see that there is a roadmap. Okay? If you say, no, every once in a while, we're just a deer in the headlight. And in fact, our track record so far is that we maintain a complete zoo of extinct animals, and that's our technology roadmap. Okay, do you want to work there? Process questions. I mentioned to you the reporting structure with top management. Now we're talking about how does the architect work with top management? Are you part of the weekly staff meeting? Who is actually responsible for what? Is there QA, not QC? If there's no QA, why is there no QA? Now, at this point, they'll say, of course we have QA. Then you define QA and they realize that there is no QA. And then you insist that setting up a QA practice is priority number one. It doesn't matter what they brought you in for. That's priority number one of your job. In fact, what is the quality situation? And a bunch of questions possible here. For example, how many open bugs you have right now? If they say I don't know, walk away. If they say 500, walk away. If they say 5, you say how long have they been open? If they say 2 years, walk away. Okay? Is it acceptable to have defects? How do you handle defects? Do you do root cause analysis? Do you debrief the incidents? Well, what do you do with quality issues? Is there quality-wide framework? Okay, yes. So there's a corporate-wide framework. Is anybody using it? Typically not. What you will find is that somebody at the top ordains some framework that has nothing to do with what anybody's doing, and they pay lip service, yes, we're using it, we're not using it. Okay, what are the tools to enforce using it? What are the incentives? All right. How about you say to every manager, 30% of your annual bonus is what we call reuse points. You get those points if you reuse somebody else's code. I don't care. It's that code that you didn't write. Oh, they're going to be very motivated now to use corporate-wide framework. Is there a development standard? Yes. Are you enforcing it? No. Why not? Is there a design standard? What? Never crossed your mind you should have a design standard? Is there any attempt at project design? Now, they may say we don't know what project design is. And so you explain it. And then you ask, are you in favor of project design? If they say yes, and they will say yes, because who is against something like this? They're going to say, what stopped you from doing it so far? I mean, after all, it's not a pie in the sky. It's very simple ideas. It's been around for decades. And okay, so you haven't been doing it so far. How would you introduce project design then? How is Agile working for you? Now, don't start calling it a voodoo metastasized religion. Ask them, are you using Agile? Yes. How's that working for you? And they say, oh, it's working great. You say, so you really can respond quickly to changes in the requirements. And they will say, no, not really. But you just said that you are Agile. So I don't understand. Are you Agile or are you not? Who will mentor you is perhaps the most important question you will ask. This is especially the case with no prior experience. You need to have somebody that mentors you. And you always need a mentor. It doesn't have to be the same mentor, because as you evolve, you may need different mentors, but you always need a mentor. Now, when it comes to mentors, there's no hard and fast rules. It can be your direct boss, can be the chief architect, the former architect that moved to another project, an external consultant, an older friend, an uncle, a parent. Age matters here a lot, okay? What does it mean? If you remember when you were 20 and you look back at when you were 10, you think that when you were 20, you thought you were smarter than when you were 10? Yes, of course. And when you were 30, you think you're smarter than when you were 20? Yes, of course. And now that you're 40, you think you're smarter than when you were 30? Yes, of course. Do you think this process is ever going to stop? Age matters here. And it doesn't have to be even somebody in the office, but you need to have a mentor that will guide you. And what do you use a mentor for? First is let's craft a vision. What are we going to do here? How are we going to get there? Okay, here's various strategies. Okay, let's prioritize. Let's build some kind of a roadmap. These are the 10 top things to fix, and then we're going to have to fix those things and such. Often, because once you move to the rank of the senior architect, you start dealing with politics and power dynamics that you actually don't understand. And a good mentor would talk to you about these things. Here's why they're really doing this way, okay? Here's a book you should read. For example, I already told you that all your problems are in the human domain. Well, instead of reading books about code, how about you read a book about persuasion, about power dynamics, about negotiation techniques? These are much more beneficial for you than how to put the semicolon somewhere, okay? How do you present information? How do you resolve conflicts? How many of you ever occurred to you to go to Amazon and read a book on conflict resolution, on techniques for resolving conflicts, on things you can do to avoid conflicts in the first place? There's an amazing technique on these things. It never even crossed your mind. Instead, you just beat your head against the wall every time. I would argue that without prior experience and without a mentor, don't take the job. It's that important. Don't shy asking the right question, right? Don't shy. These are very, very important questions. Now, when you ask the right questions, what impression do you think it leaves? By asking these questions, are they going to want you more or less? You leave the room, they're all going to look at each other and say, what was that? What was that? That's the one we want. The one that asks the tough questions. Yes. And when they want you more, are they going to offer you more or less? Which one is it? I already told you. It's best for you. It's best for them. Several times I heard the following story. So I assume it happened more than that. Is it just cases I heard? People were telling me, I went to the interview, just like you said at the AMC, and during the interview, I got a promotion. So you start grilling him like this, and then somebody says, look, we brought you here for this position here, but you are actually going to be so qualified for the other thing. And say, Bob, can you come here a second? I think I found that VP position that we have over here. Boom, promotion during the interview. And I heard it several times.